Hello friends, welcome back to Life Admin 365 and welcome to today's video. Today I'm sharing with you one meal idea for breakfast, lunch, snack and dinner. So let's get started. We start our day with warm water followed by a cup of hot coffee. And since today is Saturday, I have some time on hand to grind coffee beans to get fresh coffee grounds. We use French press to make our coffee and boy, does it taste awesome or awesome. Can you guess which one is mine and which one is Millen's? I can't drink piping hot coffee, so while I'm waiting for coffee to cool a little bit, I am checking on soaked mung beans. I had soaked close to 3 cups of mung beans yesterday night and looks like they are well soaked. Here I'm not looking for sprouts but simply well soaked mung beans. Also, I had soaked 1 cup of rice in water overnight and it too is ready to go. For breakfast, I am making moong dosas. To my Vitamix blender jar, I have added about 1 cup of water, 4 cups worth of fully soaked mung beans and 2 cups worth of soaked rice, grinding these to get a coarse batter. Then adding 5 to 6 chopped green chilies, 2 inches of chopped ginger root. Now grinding this mixture to get a smooth batter. Transferring half of this batter to a container for later use. Then adding 1 cup of leftover rice to the other half of the batter remaining in the blender jar and blending it to form a smooth batter and letting it sit for about 15 minutes up to an hour before using it to make dosas. No worries if you don't have any leftover cooked rice. Just soak 1 cup of poha 15 to 20 minutes before you're ready to grind mung beans and rice and grind it in place of the leftover rice. While you're waiting, prepare coconut chutney to go along with the dosas. Grind together about 3/4 cups of fresh coconut, 2 to 4 green chilies, depending on how hot you like the chutney to be, and a handful of cilantro leaves. I didn't have any cilantro leaves on hand, so I skipped it. Instead, use the last remaining cilantro stems, salt, and lemon juice, and 2 tablespoons of water. Since I didn't have cilantro leaves, this chutney looks kind of pale and not the deep green color one that I typically make. Heat up an electrical griddle to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Pour or ladle up the batter on it. Using the backside of the ladle, slowly spread the batter in a circular fashion to form a dosa. Repeat the same to form another one. Now, increase the temperature to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and cook until the side starts drying up. Spread ghee uniformly on the top side of both the dosas and then flip them. Gently lift the dosa from one side to see if the bottom has cooked or not. If it appears brown and crisp, then that side is cooked. Flip both the dosas. Fold the dosa in half and serve them hot with chutney. Since I have plenty of moong soaked and ready, I'm going to use them in my lunch preparation as well. Here I have avocado oil, amsul, 3/4 cup of crushed tomatoes, salt, remaining 2 cups of soaked moong beans, then close to 1.5 cups of water, spices like mustard seeds, cumin seeds, hing and turmeric, and some homemade masala and fenugreek seeds. And lastly, 10 to 12 curry leaves, finely chopped cilantro, finely chopped green chilies, and cilantro stems. To prepare moong varan, place kadhai on medium heat and add 2 to 3 tablespoons of cooking oil. When oil is hot enough, add half a teaspoon of mustard seeds and let them crackle. Then lower heat and add half a teaspoon of cumin seeds, chopped green chilies, chopped cilantro stems and curry leaves. Hold a lid or splatter screen over the sizzling tadka. When sizzling reduces, add 1/4 teaspoon of hing, 1/8 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds and 3/4 cups of crushed tomatoes. Add turmeric and mix. Add homemade guda masala and mix again. Then turn the heat to medium and cook this mixture for 1 to 2 minutes. Then add soaked moong beans and mix so that masala and beans are mixed very well. Add water and salt and mix thoroughly until well combined. Reduce heat only by a notch. Cover and cook for good 5 to 7 minutes. Uncover, add half a tablespoon of jaggery and 4 to 5 pieces of amsul. It adds a subtle layer of tanginess to this varan. Add another cup of water and stir the contents until well combined. Taste and add more salt if needed. Moong beans are halfway cooked. They still need to be cooked for another 5 to 6 minutes. You don't want the beans to be undercooked, nor do you want them to be mushy. While beans are cooking, prepare to make rotis. I have some leftover roti dough, but I'm not going to use that. I have plans to use it for today's dinner. So I'm going to make a large batch of fresh dough, some of which I will use it for today's lunch. Some of it will be for today's dinner and use up the remaining over the next couple of days. Once I make the dough, I'm going to let it rest for good 5 to 10 minutes and then prepare rotis from them. Heading back to moong varan. Uncover lid and check to see if beans are cooked to the desired doneness by pressing it between your thumb and index finger. Beans are very hot, so do this step only if you have experience in handling hot food. Otherwise, you can simply skip this. You can also check by smushing the beans with the backside of the spoon. Turn off the heat and add chopped cilantro and mix well. Move the kadhai on a trivet. Next is to prepare rotis. Instead of poli, today I am preparing a hybrid fulka. So no applying oil before rolling out the rotis, which is typically done when making poli, and no roasting them directly on the flame, which is typically done when making fulkas, and applying oil after they come off the tawa, which is done in preparing poli as well as fulkas. For lunch, I am not making any bhaji. Instead, I'm serving rotis with moong varan and sliced cucumbers. Sometimes I add finely chopped raw onions on moong varan along with sev. These add a good crunch to the meal. 4 p.m. is snack time and I have potato bhaji left over from yesterday that I need to finish up. Typically when I have this bhaji, I make toasted bread sandwiches from them. All of us voted in favor of batata vada instead of bread sandwiches. So I'm going to make batata vada. Batata vada has a lot of coarse coriander seeds and that's what I have here. I have pan roasted 2 tablespoons of coriander seeds and roughly crushed them, and I'm going to add them to this batata bhaji. Mix well, then divide this mixture equally into 7 or 8 portions and roll each portion in the palm of your hands to form a ball. Repeat this process till you roll all of the remaining portions and then keep them aside. Next step is to prepare the coating. To a bowl, I'm adding 3/4 cup of chickpea flour or besan. To it, I'm adding half a teaspoon of ajwain or carom seeds, followed by the addition of 1/4 teaspoon salt and about 2 tablespoons of water. I'm adding water in portions to form this coating mixture. This mixture should be free of lumps and not runny. It needs to be slightly on the thicker consistency. Therefore, it's essential to add water in stages instead of adding all of the water at once. Mix water with the besan mixture to form a nice and thicker consistency coating mixture. Heat enough oil in kadhai. When oil is hot enough, add about 1 to 2 teaspoons of this oil to the besan coating mixture. Whisk vigorously to incorporate the hot oil in this mixture. Now let's move to the oil in the kadhai. To check if oil in the kadhai is hot enough, I am dropping a few drops of besan mixture and boy, it's sizzling. So it's ready for frying. Medium heat is what you need for frying. If too hot, then coating will burn before it gets cooked, and if it's low, coating will absorb more oil and will also spread around in the kadhai. The next step is messy and there is truly no way to get around it. Dip the batata bhaji ball in the besan mixture and add it to the hot oil. Be careful when you're adding this to the hot oil. Once the first one goes in, I'm adding another batata bhaji ball coated in besan mixture to this hot oil and frying them. This kadhai is small for frying. I realized it after I added the batata bhaji balls. I was trying to use as little oil as possible. If I were making a larger batch of batata vada, then I would use a much bigger kadhai and more oil as well. It's a pain to figure out how to use a leftover oil, and that's why I try to see if I can get away with using as little oil as possible. I wish I could use a true concave kadhai for frying, but since I have flat grills on my stove, I can't use one. Maybe I will look into purchasing an adapter for the stove. Very gently turn around the vada on its other side. Once the other side is also fried well, gently take it out from the kadhai, draining excess oil. Transfer the vada on a paper-lined towel. Repeat the same process with the remaining vadas. A side note, before adding the carom seeds or ajwain to the chickpea flour or besan, I rub them between the palms of my hand to activate the oils in the seed. Combination of chickpea flour and potatoes is very gassy and can make you feel bloated. Adding carom seeds helps in easing this gassy or bloated feeling. Serve these batata vada piping hot with some cilantro green chili chutney that I had made yesterday. If you have pav on hand, then you can also serve it as vada pav. But in that case, you will need a few fried green chilies and garlic red chili dry chutney. I only had cilantro green chili chutney and that's what I served it with. For the last meal of the day, which is dinner, I'm making amtitlia polya, or as my boys call it, Indian pasta. First step is to knead dough for making polya or rotis. The dough should be on the tighter other side. Not as tight as for making puris, but not as loose as making chapatis. Somewhere in between. I have some leftover dough from yesterday and some that I made earlier in the day. So I'm going to use those two and I'm not going to prepare another separate dough. Here I have thawed out pressure cooked tur dal. All I'm doing is mashing the cooked dal with the backside of the ladle and adding water as needed to help me mash it better. Then placing a pot on medium low heat. To prepare tadka, add 2 to 3 tablespoons of homemade ghee. When ghee is hot enough, add 1 teaspoon of mustard seeds followed by 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, finely chopped green chilies and curry leaves. Hold a plate over the tadka to prevent splattering around. Then add hing. Add in mashed up dal and mix it well with the tadka. Then add half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, half a teaspoon of red chili powder, 1 tablespoon or so of tomato paste and mix everything well until combined. Then add 2 cups of water, mix well. Then add 1 tablespoon of jaggery and 1 teaspoon of tamarind concentrate and mix well. If you do not have tamarind concentrate like I do, you can definitely soak in some tamarind in warm water and then you can use the pulp from that. Tamarind is really the one that you should go for when making amtitlia purya. Then add salt to taste and finely chopped cilantro. Mix some more and bring it to a vigorous boil. Lower the heat to the lowest setting and start preparing polia or rotis. Pinch out a ball of roti dough, oil it well. Also oil your rolling pin and the rolling board. We will not be using any flour for dusting, so it's important to oil these surfaces so that the dough can spread and roll out easily. Start rolling out the dough. Roll out as thinly as possible so that it gets cooked quickly. Then using a rolling cutter or a pizza cutter or a simple knife, cut the dough into 1-inch strips once on one side and then cut along an angle once more in the other side to either get diamonds or square shaped pieces. Head back to amti, increase the heat to medium so that it is close to boiling when you're ready to add these pieces. Separate the pieces. It's okay if they stick to each other. They will separate out as they start cooking. Add these pieces in small quantities to boiling amti and stir well. It will take anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes to cook these. It all depends on how thin the puri was rolled out in the first place. While the first batch is cooking, take another piece of dough and prepare diamond or square shaped poya pieces the same way as you prepared the first ones and have it ready. Look at these beauties. The dough pieces are starting to rise up to the top and that's when you know that they are cooked completely. Now it's time to take them out. Turn heat to the lowest setting and transfer the poya along with some amti to a serving bowl. With 1.5 cups of tur dal, you can get about 4 such servings. Water is going to evaporate as you prepare these. So you can add half a cup of water at a time and season it appropriately for saltiness, sweetness and tanginess. To serve, add some crushed roasted papad on top and a teaspoon of ghee. So yum. That's it y'all. I hope you like these meals and that you try out at least one of them either for your lunch, breakfast, snack or dinner. Thank you so much for watching, liking and sharing this video. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so for more such recipes, meal planning and meal prepping videos. See you all in the next one.